Joining us for the Room Tax Commission. Today is Monday, June 26, 2023. In the absence of a chairperson, I will call this meeting to order. And the first order will note that two members of the committee are excused tonight, Chad Henke and Tim Van Diot. And the first order of business on our agenda is to elect a chairperson for the Room Tax Commission. So at this point, I'll open up nominations and accept nominations for the chair of this committee, and once we appoint someone, if that person is present, I'll turn over control of the meeting to them. Are there any nominations for chair of the commission? If not, since I'm not the official chair, I'll make a nomination. I'd like to nominate Michael Martins to chair this commission. If there's a second?
I'll second.
Second from Lewitzki. Michael, are you willing to serve as the chair of the commission?
Yeah, I can serve.
Okay. With that then, any additional nominations? Seeing none, I'll close nominations. With that, if we have consensus, we can cast a unanimous ballot to appoint Michael Martins as the chairman of the commission. Members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None are opposed. So I'll turn control of this meeting over to Michael, and we'll continue on.
Okay. Been a little while since I've done this.
You got it.
Okay, I know that we do not, are we agendized for public comment, or can we allow public comment with the consent of the chair? Okay, okay, because I know that Tim wanted to speak, so I'm not sure where that will fit, but thank you. Item number 2, discussion and possible action on approving minutes of the previous meeting, April 12, 2023.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion by Lewitzki, a second by Rasmussen. Discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carries? Okay, that was easy. Item number 3, discussion and possible action regarding room tax 2023 financial projection and room tax usage. I think that is Mary Ann.
Yeah, so at the last meeting in April, the commission did eliminate the cap of room tax, and the projection showed, that we had a $400,000 carryover. In looking at the state statutes, which I included in the packet, it indicates that, you can use room tax, the commission's, I like to call it, bucket of money for specific items, including room tax promotion and tourism development that attracts transient tourists and reasonably is likely to generate overnight stays, marketing projects, transient tourist informational services, and tangible municipal development, including a convention center. There are communities who are using the tourism bucket of money for municipal development for things like convention centers, zoos. I know Rib Mountain is going to use theirs for trail development. So that is something that the committee or the commission could consider. You could do things like create a second application process. You could allocate a certain component of that bucket of money for those types of activities. And in addition, looking at where we are on room tax to date, I took a conservative projection of just under $1 million for room tax revenue, looked at what would be committed based on that level, and looked at the applications to date. And I know we were going to meet in July. At the April meeting, the balloon rally had indicated that if they had known that the $10,000 cap was going to be removed, they would have asked for more money to meet the match requirements of their GEM grant. Obviously, their event is in the very near future, and they had been, encouraging me to have a meeting with some of the obligations that we have right now with our financial software implementation. We have been very taxed in time. So, this week was finally the time that I could get around to trying to put together a meeting. We have an online application process, and there were other applications in that portal. And so I took all of the applications that were in the portal and put them here today. I did get some feedback from other recipients who felt like we should not work within this meeting to allocate funds because they were expecting the allocation to occur in July. I indicated that there is still, even if you looked at all of these requests and allocated, you would still have funds left over. I'm just, want to let you know sort of some of the communications that occurred today. The other thing that I will let you know is based on the application for the Art Association, I inadvertently picked up, they had their advertising itemized. I picked up the first advertising dollar. Their request was actually $10,000, but I picked up the first advertising item of $2,000. So their request would be the full $10,000. So I guess that's everything I want to say under that agenda item.
Okay, so when the, so this, when we look at the room tax spreadsheet here, and it says balance available, 111,277, well, actually, it'll be 103,000 because of the,
Yep.
and change. That's a projection through the end of the year then?
Yes, yes,
Okay, so that's not what we would have on hand, but that's what we anticipate.
right,
Okay, okay.
yep,
If everything gets allocated.
right. And I
today,
know
that's on
like
table.
the trail development was not going to be a 2023 expense. It would be a future year's expense. It was really for an allocation, so you wouldn't see that being drawn this year either.
Okay. So, okay, well, we'll take Alder Rasmussen, and then I'll grab Mr. White, so.
So with regard, this is really the first cycle that we've seen requests for tourist-driven infrastructure on those three projects, although I do agree that trail-based, either bike trail, walking trail, trail-based tourism is on the increase. Sometimes I think when we do our scoring matrix, it's hard to quantify estimated attendance because first, the things don't exist yet. Second, we know what the usership has been of the ones that we already have, so we can kind of quantify that. But when we look at marketing efforts and marketing plans, those things aren't quite there yet because you can't market what you don't own. So I think even in our scoring matrix, some of those things may not score as highly as established events that have a consistent following, but I think there's still a place for them. And so when I see like our, I think we made a smart decision to pull the cap off because I think that, room tax does nothing to get people to the community if it's sitting in surplus and there's either not requests or we're hamstrung for what we can give or both. So looking at this spreadsheet and knowing that based on where we're projected to be, even if we funded all of these things, we still have over 100,000 left for events that would even occur in the fall or spring. I think that really puts us in a good spot, and we see clearly tourism has rebounded well because we're doing well on the fund balance side. So, I guess our next item is where we look at the grant requests, but, I guess I'll just touch us off by saying I didn't see anything in any of the requests that stood out to me as things that wouldn't be eligible.
No, and I would concur on that, definitely. It's good to see that we've, that the balloon rally is able to come back and put in a second application because it's, definitely. The money's available.
Are we talking about them all right now, or what?
No, we're
what's our
gonna,
plan
actually, we're gonna finish up on this point first because I think Tim White had a statement he wanted to make, so.
Yes, Tim White, 225721 Swan Avenue, Wausau, Wisconsin, 54401. Thanks for letting me interject really quick. So the issue of this meeting just really kind of brought about something I want to communicate to the Room Tax Commission, all the municipalities really, I've given you some sheets on some reports and things that we're doing, but I really wanted to just mention where we have been and where we want to go as the Wausau Central Wisconsin Convention and Visitors Bureau marketing name Visit Wausau. So in the recent past, and you can follow along on this first sheet, this organization has been a events-focused organization, creating and running events. It's been a very staff-heavy organization, taking the majority of revenues and using it for salaries. It's been a we know what's best organization, not really listening, just deciding what we should do. It's been really a sports organization, nothing wrong with sports, but it's been accused of not promoting arts and culture and other things in the community. It's been kind of a fly by the seat of our pants organization with little to no accountability, no transparency, no great record keeping and inflating results and statistics. And it's been a sort of silo that operated independently and avoided sharing and seeking information. So I'd like to tell you what we are today and what we're continuing to become, what we're progressing towards. We are a destination marketing organization. We're committed to be the premier organization that markets and advertises the attractions and amenities of our region and effectively uses the resources entrusted to it from municipalities and other partners. We want to be a lean organization that creates maximum value for partners while using fewer resources. The DMO can effectively use resources for a wider reach than individual organizations cannot. We are committed to having the best and most effective marketing tools and research that is out there in the world, something that small organizations and partners don't have the time to do. We want to be the organization that listens first and becomes a trusted guide and partner in the current and future plans of the visitor experience, listening to visitors, partners, and stakeholders. A DMO that promotes all attractions that visitors are interested in, not just sports, but again, sports is important too. An organization that stays within budget, that follows through, keeps accurate records, sharing all information with any stakeholder and using data to analyze and help make decisions. And finally and ultimately, what we want to we don't want to be, hey, we're just an organization among organizations asking for money. We want to be your partner. We want to give you the resources that can help make decisions. We want to come alongside these other organizations that the data supports to help them do the best that they can to be able to market and maximize the marketing dollars that are out there. And and so the link between us and the municipalities, the link between us and the organizations is one where we want to be seen, we're working to be seen as a trusted guide, that we want to communicate, and we love for you to communicate with us as well. But, you know, we're in this together, working together, and so we're committed to that as an organization. That's just giving you some other stats in there, but just wanted to make that clear. We had some good talks, and that was great, and we are not who we used to be. So, thank you.
All right, thank you for that, and thank you for sharing this information on where the Convention and Visitors Bureau is today. That's great to see. So, anything else before we move on? Okay. Item number 4, discussion and possible action regarding tourism grant requests.
So I did want to mention, currently our room tax tourism grant application indicates that it's for nonprofit organizations, and Willow Springs did not disclose themselves as a nonprofit. They didn't provide any of their nonprofit information, so I believe they are a for-profit organization. Again, I did include their application in the packet because, that is something that you could decide to change. You could defer that application request. It was like I said earlier, it was in the portal for consideration, so I put it on the agenda. But that is something that you could make or have a discussion. I didn't have a chance to look at other communities, whether they do allow for-profit or not.
Is the nonprofit, for-profit distinction, is that state statute or is that one of our policies?
That is our policy.
Okay, okay.
Yep.
Can we start with the balloon? Well, should we go down the line?
Yeah, why don't we just, we can hold that one for a second, and we'll go down, we'll jump back to the balloon, so go ahead.
I just have some questions for them. So they say that they have the gem marketing of 39.5, but they also state that the city of Wausau, Red Mountain, Rothschild, and Weston each committed 10,000 each, which would make that 40. So they're there, right? I mean, where are
For
we?
the match, or,
That, please describe.
With the town of Red Mountain, Rothschild, and what's the other one?
Weston.
Thank you.
Can you come up to the
you will come up to the microphone, please?
Otherwise, the YouTube
With
camera-
those, I'm Nancy Waller, by the way.
Okay.
With those three municipalities, they opted to have a shuttle service. They also opted to have a balloon that they were sponsoring. So it was not meant for the GEM grant at all, because the shuttle is very expensive for each one of those municipalities. And we did it for Wausau also because the city is letting us use the stage. So we provided a shuttle service. You don't have a balloon, but you are sponsoring the entire event. This year, after the event, we were very close to losing the event. It was going to leave town. We had another city picked out because our 90 acres that we used for parking was being put up for sale. So we would only have had about 20 or 30 acres for parking, and it wouldn't have worked out there. So I tried to write an ARPA grant with the county, and they said because Jerry Petrowski, who is the state senator that just retired, owned the property, that we would not be a consideration because it was a conflict of interest. So I took the proposal I made to the county and offered it to Jerry. Because every year we do this event, I raise sponsorship money to pay the cost of the event, and anything we raise is out the door. I start the year out with $0. So we had no money to buy it. So basically, we have a deal with Jerry to keep this event going. We are charging $5 per person to get some money, to buy some land, and then we would have to buy it after the event. So if we're unsuccessful, the event is done, most likely. Maybe I can talk him into it again. I don't know. The bottom line is we're making $1 million commitment to ensure that this event doesn't go away. It's way too big for the airport, honestly. I mean, 100,000 people at the airport would not fly, much less 40 balloons. So we are making a huge commitment to the area to ensure that this doesn't go anywhere, regardless of Steve or myself. It's always going to be here. So the GEM grant, I got Channel 7 to give me $20,000 in free advertising, because we're in a 50-50 year. And yes, I did ask for another $10,000 from the city because it's a legitimate expense. Truthfully, we spent much more on other things like city pages and posters and banners and cards. And, you know, we hand out about 50,000 trading cards to the audience that they take home that has either the city of Wausau or Weston or Rothschild or whomever. They take it home with them. And it's an advertisement for the businesses in the area as well as the municipalities. So this was our way of saying, geez, if you guys can help us out this year, it is a pivotal year. It is our do or die year. And that, I'm not being dramatic, that is just our reality for us.
So here's my problem.
Okay.
Your shuttle service is 8,500 on your expense. Your
That was
trading
last
cards
year.
are 2,000, but this is the one that you just did this. So your total expenses are 192.5. I mean, this is the one that's in the portal. So this is what, to me, is setting precedent that says, well, we can throw anything in expenses and revenue, and then we can just get whatever we want off of it. You know what I mean? I mean, this is the very first time that we're looking at expanding beyond $10,000. So we
Yep.
need a legitimate request with the legitimate expenses and revenues. And honestly, I don't see it. I want to give it to you, but I don't see that the application is correct.
Well, first off, that was a projection. I don't know how much the shuttles are going to cost. That is my reality.
You
I
should
have-
by now, though, right?
One would think so. Last year, I got my shuttles less than 2 weeks before the event. I started with First Student, I went to Lamers. I am begging Lamers every week. I have commitment that they're going to do it, and I have my places that they're going to do it. You tell me how much it costs, because I have nothing. I literally have nothing. So I took my numbers from last year, but I added another location. We're also shuttling on the field to help with the handicapped. So it's, 90 acres in that parking lot. That's a long walk for some of these people. So we are shuttling around the parking lot. We are busting our butt to make this the best event in the Wausau area and to make it the most enjoyable. And here's how I look at it. Yes, 20,000 is a lot of money. That costs you 2 cents a person. That's how I view it. Is it worth 2 cents a person to spend that 20,000 to help me keep this event going? And maybe I'm doing a little bait and switch because I do have to pay that money for the GEM grant. I absolutely have to. But
So
I
what's,
also have to buy $1 million piece of property.
so what's your commitment from Rib Mountain and Rothschild
10,000 each one.
and Weston?
Yes.
So you have 40.
I have way more than that.
So why are you
I've
asking
been
for,
bust-
why are you, I'm confused where this GEM grant, where you're asking for this extra 10 for.
It is for the GEM grant specifically.
So what do they have? Because they have to do
I
marketing.
just told you, they have the shuttle service, which we have been marketing. They have also got the balloon, which we are marketing all over the place.
I'm asking, are they room tax grants or are they,
Yes.
so they should be marketing, right? Dollars via,
Well,
I'm just trying to
I
clarify.
understand what you're saying, and I'm sure you were at that meeting and realized lots of people, they did not put stipulations on that money. Not just me.
Sure.
And I'm telling you what their money was obligated for. I could not do a shuttle service in their city without it. I wouldn't be able to afford it. And that is the same of Red Mountain. That is the same of Rothschild. So it is marketing because guess what? You're inviting people to your city to take a shuttle service because they want to come to our event. I get emails every day. Where are your shuttle services? What's the closest hotel? Literally every day, and I answer every darn one of them. I answer probably 100 emails a day. We work very hard to make sure that we have our emergency plans, we have our marketing plan. This is a legitimate expense. I have to pay $20,000 to the state of Wisconsin, period. So your money, your $10,000 that you committed last time, I'm not keeping it. It's going right to the state of Wisconsin.
No, I understand. It should go to marketing. And
It
It
is.
should not go to anybody's pocket, right? I
Well,
mean,
right, I'm telling you, your money-
Legally, it goes to marketing.
Your money that you spend is going to the GEM grant, specifically.
Okay.
Weston and Rothschild, that's up to them how they spend their money, to be perfectly honest. I know there's state rules, I'm just telling you what they did for us, and I was very transparent in what I'm spending it on, and they gave me the grant.
Sure. Okay, so now how much do you have left that you need to match for your GEM grant? That's my-
20,000. Including
you
the
have
10 I got
two-
before. I have a total of $20,000 that I need to write a check for.
So you have 20 left.
Yes.
Okay. So again, I'm not following the dollars. So you have this shuttle service that you're going to pay for. You estimated
That
at
is not the
8,500.
city's paying for it.
No, through the city, through the town and Rothschild. I'm just trying to,
Okay.
in your grant request is, you have received, where is it?
I've received $185,000, not including the state's $40,000, because I don't have that.
No, right, so if each, where did it go?
Those were just strictly projections.
So
I'm-
City of Wausau, Rib Mountain, Rothschild, and Weston, 10,000 each. City of Schofield and Mosinee, 2,000 each. And the Wisconsin Tourism Gem Grant, 39,500.
That
Right.
sounds about right, yes.
That's what you wrote in here, is what it,
I'm sure yes, I'm sure that is correct.
okay, so then you're at 44 minus your bus, correct?
No, that is incorrect. There is much more that goes into a balloon sponsorship.
No, marketing. From the cities and towns. I'm just asking, the way that it's
Okay, well, how
written.
they, once again, how they spend their money, I don't know why we're even discussing that.
The other
I'm saying.
Because what is your actual bottom line? It seems like you're not actually telling me how much you have left and what you got from the other
I
towns.
don't
and-
understand what I have
Rothschild.
left. I haven't paid
So
for.
for marketing, your marketing expense, you wrote down, you have the city of Wausau,
Okay,
Red Mountain,
well-
Rothschild, and Weston for 10.
That's all
Schofield.
accurate information.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
So
So how
is
much
this
I
just
have
total
left?
minus, yes, how much more do you have left to get to the GEM grant?
I just told you, we have to give them 20,000.
The other cities do not require us to use their money
I already said that.
for
But
the gem.
So you said that they were using it for shuttles, is what I'm asking.
they're using it for shuttle and a balloon sponsorship. And they said,
So-
particularly Weston said, they didn't even require me to give them sponsorships. So
They also
either way,
said
but
they
here's
know
the
what an
thing.
event costs to put on. It's
Yes,
to use
so
money
I'm just
we have to
asking you,
use.
I'm just,
I am confused.
Okay, there we
because
go.
I don't know how many different ways I can explain it.
Hi, Jody McGuire with the CVB, Director of Operations. The GEM grant is through the CVB. We partnered with them, and this is our second year of the GEM grant, so we have to do a 50/50. So only 50 is going
Yeah.
to be covered. What she applied for with the Village of Weston and the Town of Red Mountain, their contracts do not go all towards marketing. They're okay with it going, a portion of it going to operations and pulling the event off. So they're not 100% going
so,
towards
so
marketing.
at what point, well, I guess, what amount of their money is going towards marketing, if any? That's my question. After the shuttle bus, after the balloon, there's money left. Are we
There's
are we
banners,
funneling that
there's
to
cards,
marketing?
Yeah.
There's all sorts of stuff. I mean, it's a long list. There's posters, there's banners on the field, there's all sorts of stuff. City pages, I don't know. It's a long list. It is a very long list. But the fact of the matter is that the GEM grant for Wausau, my request for Wausau is specifically about the GEM grant. They are not paying for the GEM grant. None of that money is going to the GEM
I
grant.
guess my question is why? Why do they do this stuff?
Well, why did you ask them that? I don't know.
No, I'm asking you why you know that you have this deficit with the GEM grant. Why, and we know that the room tax law says that it can be used for marketing, so why don't we funnel it towards marketing, whatever's left, rather than
That's
the
what I'd like you
banners
to
and
do,
the
is give me another
whatever
10,000.
else? I'm asking them, their side, because it seems like you have 44, so
With the,
at
with
what
the GEM grant,
expenses?
we applied as February 1st. We did not hear back until the end of February into the March, so we didn't know that we were going to be approved for it.
Sure,
And then, we do want it, but you still have to come up with the extra funds of it, and also in kind, where people are giving the marketing at no cost
Yep.
at all. And so we lined all of that up with that. With the bus shuttle that we do have, it does have an added expense, and Nancy is correct, we don't have anything from Lamers. We're still in the talk of it, they're still trying to find people
Sure,
to
it's
run the
drivers,
bus.
yep.
And what happened last year, we were scrambling, we were both stressing, all three of us were stressing because we had marketed that this bus is going to be available, and the amount of people using that service was unbelievable.
Yep.
I mean, those shuttles were going every 30 minutes to the field grounds, back to where they were being picked up and dropped off of people.
yep.
So it is a vital service, and plus with so many people being there, that's what they.
I understand the shuttle service is well worth it.
Yeah.
I'm asking how much is that versus how much is left in their buckets, if you would? And how much are you using their buckets toward operations rather than maybe we could funnel it to marketing?
Right, mostly.
That's the question.
That 10,000 that the city or the village gives them, 2,000 of it goes towards the balloon, we give them the balloon.
There we go. That's
2,000
what I'm
goes towards
asking
that.
for.
Well, I answered
Then there's
that.
8,000 that's left over that we use for the bus shuttle, and then we have all of our marketing where we put the banners out saying where the shuttle is, the advertising on their website, the posters, that all goes into that.
Okay, so 8,000 per shuttle per city is what's,
Well, that's what's in the
what
bucket.
you've, yeah, okay,
Yes.
so, so say it comes back, Right now, you've got it projected at 8.5. We couldn't see the financials from last year. So what were your shuttle last year?
Remember what the figure was?
I mean, it's got to be close to what you said it was, what you projected for this year.
It may be. I don't have that in front of me.
I understand.
I'm
I
a
mean-
week and a half away from a big show, so.
I understand. And
I
this
don't
is
know.
why I don't know that we should throw money right at a week and a
Well-
half away when we don't have the answers that are needed, honestly. That's what I'm asking the questions and I don't seem to be getting the answers.
Well, I
So
thought
now
we
we got
would
the
answer.
2 for the balloon and the 8 for the rest of the shuttle. That's
It
the
was
first
shuttle and
numbers.
the marketing that
And the
we do
marketing.
with it.
Yeah, so the shuttle is listed at 8.5 here, and you've got 1, 2, 3 other municipalities that are in there. So I'm looking at an extra 24 for the shuttle.
To come up
We
to
don't
that,
know.
yeah.
We-
It's a
Again,
gamble.
the
like-
other
I
cities
wish I
don't
could tell
require
you.
us.
I wish I could tell you. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
I understand.
Yeah, and I recognize that the other communities aren't requiring it to be used as marketing, and like I said, there's the 2 buckets. So, I was not concerning myself of, well, what bucket are they paying the balloon rally event out of? Is it out of their money that they can pretty much use it for anything, or is it just tourism? And, when the city reviewed the statutes and went through it with, because at one point the CVB had an attorney, and we sat down with that attorney, and we sat down internally, and we read this and said, that really it was marketing projects. I mean, if you read it's pretty clear in the state statutes, marketing projects including advertising, media buys, creation and distribution of printed and electronic promotional tourist materials, and efforts to recruit conventions, sporting events, or motor coach groups. So that is not a festival, in my mind. It doesn't say festival in there. And so we are requiring it to be for tourist materials, because that's the bucket that an event could fall under. And so we have been, I guess, purists on that.
Yeah,
Right, so that's where I'm struggling, right?
And I
mean-
don't know what the other communities
Yeah,
are doing.
I don't think we can really control what the other communities.
Yeah.
No, I'm
request
just
that the
asking
money
what
is.
the actual number is that's left, because in the end, we're gonna contribute 20 of the 39 to that, and that's a lot of money. We have never contributed more than 10 to any event ever, right? I mean, so to have it all lined up and to have everything correct, I don't have a problem dishing out 20,000 next year, but this is the very first year that we're doing it, and it seems like it's almost fly by the seat of our pants, we need this money, let's get it.
Well, this
Rather
is-
than,
This is a pivotal year for us. I can't sugarcoat it.
I understand, but
I mean,
you also found
And
that.
it's a legitimate expense. I mean, that's the bottom line
Agreed.
for me, is it is a
Agreed,
legitimate-
sometimes you have to spend money to make money though, right? I mean, in the end, you spend money to make money.
Well, we took a chance when we wrote that grant for 80,000, because that was our limit. So we're
Mm-hmm.
like, well, we'll worry about the 20,000 when we have to. And this is that point. I mean, we could have requested 60,000 and I still could have gotten my donation from Channel 7 and all that stuff. But it's like, hey, if the state's willing to give me 40,000, I want to capitalize that and get the whole 80. So that was a thought process.
Do you
that went
have
through,
the whole
Jane.
80? It seems like you have 29.4.
We got 39,550.
From
And
the
then
state.
From the state.
Which is a reimbursement program. So we technically did not get that. We have to spend that before we get reimbursed. And our markets that we have the GEM grant in is all in the southern part of the state. And we've even
Yep.
branched out to Illinois and Minnesota.
Yep.
And on those commercials and on those things, we do have the bus shuttle. And it does show that the municipalities are helping and partnering, and it has that sponsorship with that.
Well, and not only that, there's a link to our website where I have logos and links for everyone.
Yeah, as every event probably does, yeah.
Well, I'm just telling you, right now, I'm getting about 800 people a day,
Fantastic.
All the rest.
which normally I get about 40 until
So.
things ramp up.
So I think what we're talking about and where the rubber meets the road is that we can't control what other municipalities put on as far as stipulations, but when the room tax law changed and this commission got formed, there became two room tax allocations. One which was out of the city's retained funds, which is the way we had done it all along, where there was no restrictions as to whether or not recipients used it for overhead or staffing or whatever. There was a lot less oversight on that, and so those projects, as well as the continuing appropriations entities, continued as they had always been. But then the rule came along that all of the funds that were dispensed by this commission had to be directly tied to activity that would essentially solicit room nights in the area and bring additional tourism to the area. So for us to buy up a portion of a grant that results in a local match, that's different than advertising. So if you've done an ad buy in Minneapolis and Chicago, and you've done an ad buy in other areas that are going to bring people to central Wisconsin, if those areas are receiving, whether it's digital marketing, whether it's TV, whether it's billboards, I don't care what it is, that's the type of buy that these dollars are earmarked for. And so I think where we are having the hang up now, and it's not that we want to be more restrictive than everyone else that you're partnering with, it's that there's an element of accountability and reporting that goes with this now that didn't exist before the law changed. And so to make sure that we are not running afoul of that, we are a little more strict than the other places that you may deal with. But, that said, if we knew that these extra dollars and the first $10,000 were going for exactly that activity.
That's what
the
it-
ad buys, the marketing, the underpinning of the shuttle service. That's totally different than, telling us that we are basically buying the local match of the GEM grant. Because, if the state requires a local match, the local match is really to come from the applicant or the entity that applied. And not to just say, well, Wausau, we applied for a bigger grant
Yeah,
than we
now we need
expected.
it.
And now, oh,
Right.
by the way, we need this extra money. So, obviously, our goal is to have those dollars go into the marketing of the event. And so if you haven't dispersed these funds yet to anybody, because obviously the event hasn't happened, our intention, if we were to fund 20,000 or 10,000, is that you use our money for marketing.
That's
And I
awesome.
don't care where else you get the 40,000 from for the GEM grant, but, we cannot go on record as funding the local match portion of any grant from anywhere. The marketing payments have to come from this money.
That's what it's for.
And, yep, and I think that's where we're getting stuck, is like, what are you actually going to use this money for? Well, don't tell us it's for your portion of a local grant. You have got to use these funds for marketing and something that's going to bring tourism to the area. And if Tim was here, he would use his heads in beds comment, because that's what we have to do. We have to bring more people to central Wisconsin to partake, and the only way to do that is through marketing. And so that's really what we need to hear, is that this money is a marketing-driven effort, and it is not a, funding of any local match that you may owe anybody.
It is a marketing-driven application. Everything that we did is outside 90 miles. It is digital. It is TV ads on digital. All of it. OTT, everything is exactly what you're saying. Exactly what you're saying.
So I guess, in the end, expenses, you have marketing, $10,000. Honestly,
Well, that's not
everything.
realistic.
Right.
It was a
So
guess.
but this was just submitted, right, after the last application. So you knew you had the GEM grant then.
Okay, well, first
Because you've
off,
submitted in here. And that's just what I'm saying, is it's hard to fund something that is wrong on paper.
we truly are spending 80,000.
It says
and-
marketing 10, though, in your expenses.
Well,
You-
I
you-
must
Do you
have made a
understand what I'm
mistake.
saying? So then your total revenue must come from somewhere else, because you have expenses and revenue the same, which is correct. But, so what I'm saying is, as I dug into this application, it just seemed like there was a lot of loose ends rather than everything put together, and that's what I don't like about that. I don't like funding loose ends. We had that problem with the CVB, right? There was tons of loose ends, and before, and it wasn't good. It wasn't a good partnership for the city, and we split. And so that's just, it's concerning to see these loose ends on this application.
Well, that could have been a mistake on my part. I filled out the GEM grant, they had to have it equal. That's why they all equal out. Did I know I was going to raise $192,000? Absolutely not. And I'm still raising money, and I have written very few checks, so I don't even have bill. I can't tell you how much a toilet costs right now, because everyone's raising their pricing. When I filled out the application, I put it as what we paid last year. That is my best guess. But I know that is going to be more. I know garbage is going to be more. I know everything is more. It's just, I did the best I could.
All the rest of us?
Thank you. We know that the cost of busing has gone up everywhere, both in the driver shortage that they have as well as the cost of operating those vehicles. So I have no doubt that your shuttle costs are probably going to be exponentially more than they were last year. And the fact that the event has not yet occurred and a lot of the bills have not yet been paid. I will say, when I scored this in my scoring matrix, this was my top scoring event. It scored 105. It's well marketed, it's well attended, the awareness is out there, it gets bigger every year. That's what we want to see happen. We want to see something that's a draw that can grow, that's not only a local draw, it's exponentially drawing from a larger region. So, what the results you're having is the results we want to see. And assuming that we fund this, when the bills come due, all we want is assurance from you that the money we gave you isn't going to be used to fund your local portion of a grant.
Yeah.
If you haven't paid the bills yet for the ads, the marketing, and the shuttle, that's where this money needs to go.
Well, of course.
And, and that's really what we need to know, is we need that assurance that the marketing effort is underpinned with our money and not the local portion of a grant or, whatever other, benign activity. It needs to be something that legitimately draws room nights. So, I fully
I
intend to allow.
I think at the end of the day, we hold our money until we see that those marketing expenses come in, as we do, I believe. We have expenses, but I'd like to see the whole revenue and expenses, as we will if you apply next year. So there's really and it's a nonprofit, so at this
Right.
point, so we will be able to see everything, but I just don't like the way that it's set up. It's really,
Well, and I
it's a
apologize.
heartache. I don't, you can't just apologize, though. I mean, in the community foundation, you get zero money, and because you did something wrong. Like, that's just how these applications work. So I didn't appreciate the haphazard, here, we're going to throw this together, we're going to ask for another 10, and we're going to go.
We did achieve our 501c3 status.
Correct,
so-
you said that. So it'll all be public information now, and so that's.
Yes.
I mean, so what I'm asking for is that publicly be shared with this commission, like, given to us, rather than
It
us
will
going
be.
to GuideStar.
No one will
and
have to
finding
ask
it.
for it, simply because last year, we didn't think we were going to have a third year.
Sure.
And that was our reality last year, so it's like, oh, done, and then,
Yeah, okay.
So I apologize,
Yeah.
even though you don't want one, I apologize
No,
for not having the.
I thank you for your apology. I'm just saying, I wish it would have been on the front end. I would have spent but 2 seconds on this application, right? I mean, it's a great event. It draws people to the area. There's no question about that. The way that it was done, I just thought was, here, let me throw this together and I'll get that money.
Well, I try my hardest, that's all I can say. I'll do better.
Yeah,
Or I'll have someone hired that will do better.
If it does make you feel better too, like the GEM grant is funneled through the CDB because they did not have the 501c3 status yet. So if you would like to, if you do grant the $20,000 and you want to make sure that it is, I'm going to be working with Nancy to do those reporting, and we can definitely show you all of those reports that we send to the state, and showing that 20,000 commitment did go to that marketing.
Okay, I think,
I'd love to see that in August or whatever our fall meeting is.
Yeah, I
After
think,
you have
yeah,
wrapped
I
up.
think I know in the past 2 years, there's been a lot of unknowns in the budgeting for this event, and I think by now that we're in the third year, we should be able to, moving forward now, we should see a better handle on where
Correct.
those,
Well, now
where those
we
funds
have-
are, where those, what you're requesting and where those funds are going to go.
Yes. We were under the Trailmates umbrella the last 2 years, so now we're official. So
Okay.
everything goes through Taste and Glow.
well, and assuming that we fund this, as we go through the projects, assuming that we fund this, and I think maybe Lindsay's right, that we would approve the funding and then perhaps fund that on a reimbursement basis after the event, since it's coming up in 2 weeks. Once we've seen that those marketing dollars were expended, that would satisfy our desire to know that our money went for that and not for local grant match. So I think that's one way that we could get where we all need to go, but then make sure that we've got some assurance that the marketing dollars actually totaled at least the 20.
Are you then recommending funding contingent on? that
On
it's
receipt of
expended on
documentation
marketing?
of the actual expense for the marketing effort, yes.
Okay.
Yes, I guess, was our plan to consider these as a batch or individually? Do you want to vote on each one separate, or how do you want to?
I guess what's the will of the commission? We can talk about them separately, otherwise, do we want to, I think we might have a little bit of discussion on these municipal developments.
Yeah, and when,
So-
and the same thing with the for-profit status of Willow Springs. So
Yeah,
Maybe
so-
parsing them out wouldn't be so bad.
Wouldn't be so bad then.
Yeah, I mean, so at that point, I would move that we go ahead and approve the funding for Balloon Rally contingent upon receipt post-event, that marketing expenses were incurred to at least 20,000.
Okay. We've got a motion from Alder Rasmussen. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. A second by Witzke. Any discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I say aye also. Oppose? It's carried unanimously. Moving on our next item was the Wisconsin Art Association application for Marathon Park. And they're asking for $10,000. It says 2,000 on our spreadsheet, but it's actually 10,000, so.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on that? Not hearing anything. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That carries. Okay, and then the next item is the Willow Springs. They're also asking for $10,000 for marketing.
This one, in their application, they only have 5K in marketing and budget.
Okay.
I mean, again, the numbers don't add up. I don't like that. It's sloppy writing, right?
Yeah, hi. So I was working with Peggy a little bit with this, and she has never applied for any type of room tax funds, and she does a lot of different festivals, very unique things at the Round Barn, and she wants to target outside of the 90 miles. She has a lot of her marketing is inside of our area, but nothing outside. So I feel like it's a hidden gem that doesn't get utilized to the full extent. So that's why she wanted to put in an application. When I did talk to her about the non-for-profit status, she said that's something she is looking for in the future. She's just a one-person staff. She runs it by herself, and she has part-time people that come in and volunteers. And with the loss of her husband within, the last 2 years, it's just times have been tough. So she's looking to do that. That's something that's down the road. But this money would be utilized outside the 90 miles, and then she fully knows that. And the budget that I think that she did turn in is her current budget right now.
Sure. Again, you need to project into the future of what you're looking at rather than what you had or what you were, because, I mean, otherwise you're just, again, flying by the seat of your pants. So because she's a for-profit, I think we have to think larger. If we allow for-profits to do this, then you're looking at State Park Speedway, and you're looking at, I mean, all those things and all those marketing dollars that they spend would then come to us. Are we willing to take that on, or are we willing to shift more to what I believe is more of a long-term approach, which is the tangible municipal development? And I honestly, I think we stay with nonprofits for right now, unless a lot of for-profits come knocking at our door saying all of a sudden we're going to lose money and we need to market or do this. And I think then the conversation opens. But right now, I think we're opening a can of worms that we don't even know what all will come out of it.
Okay. And I certainly see the point there, because it's definitely that allowing for-profit entities to apply for room tax money will open those floodgates. And
I mean, Bull Falls Brewery, anything that anybody that has any event that has marketing dollars, all of a sudden they're coming to us saying, we generated one hotel room, we need dollars.
yeah.
So then under those circumstances, assuming that for-profit or non-for-profit status is in her future, essentially this funding would allow her to double her marketing effort, yet she doesn't have the nonprofit status. Perhaps we're better to hold on that for this year.
Yeah.
And then wait for either another application from her in a different cycle, once that's been done. Obviously, we're going to entertain these on a rolling cycle now more than twice a year. So assuming they get that done in the near future, whenever, reapply, maybe we'd be willing to take a second look, but maybe hold action on this one then for now.
Mary Ann, did you have something, or no?
Nope.
Okay.
So you table, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think we should just
when
just
it's
not act
nonprofit?
upon this one with the understanding that, we're looking for something different from them in a future cycle.
I would tend to agree, I guess, knowing that this is, we definitely need to decide if we want to go into that realm, or if it's better for Willow Springs to consider nonprofit status and reapplying. So, and I don't think we really are ready to open up the gates for allowing for-profit entities. Yeah,
No, I
because, yeah,
think-
then it'd be the ski resort and the whole 9 yards. So,
Right,
Everyone.
right. Yeah, so no, I think
Yeah,
that's,
take a
that's
Granite
a
Peaks
very
budget
large
for it.
unknown for us, so.
Yeah.
Rather than vote it down, I guess I'd like to see, learn more about it and their status in a future cycle and just not act on this one for
Okay.
now. Or hold it, table it, whatever.
Okay, do we need action on that, or can we
Yeah, I'll
just?
second that. Table.
Okay, so I'll move that we table that one until we know more about the applicant and their status.
All right, motion by Rasmussen, and then
Second.
second by Lewitsky. Any discussion? Not hearing anything. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? And that carries. Okay, next are the three municipal requests. So we can talk about these all at once, or we can tackle them individually. I guess, Rasmussen?
Thank you. I think it makes sense to talk about them as a batch because they all really kind of exemplify the same type of tourism. Whether it's bike trail riding, whether it's walking trail, I mean, the River Edge Trail is multi-use. So I think that they all have the same goal, and that is to either offer an additional amenity to attract events in their own, or to offer an additional experience for visitors who are here while they're here, even if they're here for other reasons. But they're also sustainable facilities that have not only a local but a regional impact. So, like when I score these straight across the scoring matrix, the usage and some of the attraction is difficult to quantify because it's not yet developed, but that doesn't mean that they don't really fit the mold. And so, I see that being a sustainable project and one that can be used to promote the area. The more robust and well-defined a trail system we have, when we have that amenity, other communities that have developed that have seen success with it, and ours has been a work in progress for 30 years. So, I think the more of that we do, the more of an attractor that becomes to get visitors in. So I could see my way clear to support all three of these, knowing that they're funded in future cycles, A, and that they're well-defined plans, B. So,
Yeah, and I know that the CWAC, the Central Wisconsin Off-Road Cycling Coalition project that's pretty much a no-brainer because we know
Yeah.
that's going to attract people from outside the area. The River Edge Trail, that's part of a larger system that we, as a municipality, hope to develop, and I think its parts will be greater than the whole. So
Yeah.
it's,
I agree.
So the Seawalk one, I think I score that one the highest by far out of any of these because it is a one-time commitment that will be there for years and years to come. Events and events and events will be ran there. And I think it'll drive people to the area in spring, summer, fall, winter. This is what room tax is all about, right? Getting people in heads and beds, off seasons, anything. The River Edge Trail South, goes behind the wastewater plant is designed. Great project, but who's really gonna wanna go behind poop? That one, going across the bridge to get to the rest of it, which the bridge goes, right now the trail goes right? So we'd have to cross Thomas Street on the other side, is that correct? With that, or how does this, I'm just not seeing the connection.
Sure thing.
Great.
Yeah, I know. At first glance, you think, oh, wastewater treatment site, not
Yeah.
great. But, there are, mountain bike trails that go around the landfill.
Yep.
Same kind of idea.
Yep.
And, the idea is, I walked that trail a couple months ago, and it's already there, which is very attractive as far as just basically needing to put down
Just lay
base and
down.
pave. And it really gives you some great access to the views of the river, the views of the East Bank, and kind of a different a view or access they wouldn't normally get. The smell may be there, may not be, but it may depend on the day. But they're.
I'm
moving
less
through that
worried about the
section.
smell than how you get across East Thomas
Okay.
Street, and it seems like maybe it's just like a one-off thing rather than a continuation
Okay,
of
all
the
right.
trail.
No, so actually that crossing of Thomas Street, on the north side of Thomas Street, there's that small section of the trail that's been built along the river.
Yep.
Very nice. There is a marked crossing at that point.
Yep.
That's probably, one of the better places to cross Thomas Street. There's a
Yep.
refuge island in the median, and, it's a highly visible spot to cross. So you'd come across on the bridge on the protected side, and then you could cross over. Maybe you have to pause for a second, wait for clearing or for cars to stop, and then you could proceed all the way down around to Adolph Street, where it comes out of the DPW site.
Sure. So I guess as I'm looking through my room tax lens here, as a citizen who lives in the city of Wausau, great. As a person who is coming here, am I going to want to walk behind the wastewater site to
I think
go
you'll-
to DC Everest Park? I mean,
Sure.
that's the legitimate room tax commission lens question.
Sure, and I understand that. I think, what you're really looking at is a way to access DC Everest Park and be able to go from Oak Island Park down there, or from Riverside Park down there. And the safest, easiest, most scenic way to do that is on this path. If you were to, try to go down to Cleveland Avenue and take that all the way down to DC Everest Park, a couple of turns to get you on there, or go down Third all the way. If you were to compare those, 3 different options, the path is the safest way to do that. The roads that you are on are going to be on local roads that you're routed through, low traffic residential streets.
Sure.
And, I think that's kind of the best way to do it. The Green Circle Trail in Stevens Point utilizes residential roads for portions where they can't, fit a trail otherwise. Industrial too. But this is the kind of same kind of situation.
Sure. So I guess also as opening up to tangible municipal development, which I love, as I said, I think this is the best use of room tax dollars. We also need to think of, okay, well, what other projects does the city have in terms of or city/county park and rec, what other big ticket projects? Because we have to almost look at big tangible municipal projects as a 3-year plan, right? We have to have those funds built up and then we let them go, we wash them out. So what other projects does City Park and Rec or your office have
Sure.
that maybe might fit better than this trail that goes to a residential neighborhood, as you said, that maybe wouldn't get people traveling from other areas to come to this trail? But like, for example, the soccer complex, great example. If something wanted to be upgraded there, people are coming from outside to come to that soccer complex, or the band shell at Marathon Park. I'm just
Sure.
thinking out loud, right?
No, that's a great point. And, it's probably a good tack to take going forward with, spending future funds as well as. But, looking at the River's Edge Trail system as a whole, when it'll function best as a whole when it's
Right.
all built out. And right now, there's 4 major gaps or unfinished points. South of Thomas Street, one you're talking about right now.
Yep,
The other application I have for north of Winton.
yep. And that
And-
one makes sense to me.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
you're
then you have
extending
on the
along
west
river.
side, the 2 connections from East Bay to Pick and Save. There's a gap there.
Mm-hmm.
And then from the so Bridge Street up to Marathon Electric.
Yeah, Regal
so
Beloit, yeah.
through
Up to
Gap
Union
Crashing.
Ave. Yeah.
So those are the 4 major
Sure.
gaps. And we're actually working on either acquiring land or acquiring the easements to close all those gaps. So, when you're doing trail developments, the land and the funding that are the hardest parts. Everybody's pretty much generally in favor of trail.
Sure.
So the other 2 sections on the west side are actually going to be a little bit further down in year-wise as far as being able to build those, and they're going to be more expensive. These 2 that I presented to you are the,
Easy-
highest
low
bang
hanging
for your
fruit.
buck.
Yeah.
Easiest to do. It's all city-owned property or areas where we have an easement. Colby and Colby's been very willing as far as granting that easement and to do
So
it.
could we, I mean, is it possible, so when you write, estimated project cost is 500,000 and
Yes.
is being requested in the CIP process, the
Yes.
100,000 would buffer any shortfalls from CIP. So could I make a motion to say, with this one, we will fund up to but not more than like the $100,000, but we don't want to fund any more than, we don't want CIP to look at this and say, oh, well, there's already 100,000 there, like, we're not going to do that. If you're left with 65,000, then we would fund the 65,000. Does that make sense?
Whatever CIP, the difference.
Yeah.
So whatever the CIP gap is?
Yeah.
Well, and I chair the CIP, so I can tell you that ordinarily, when we look to rank and score things, and Michael's on it too, things that have alternate funding sources or partner funds automatically do better because there's help there, and it's not all relying on municipal debt or tax increment financing to get across the finish line. So if we know that, assuming the request is funded, there's partner funding there to match up with it, that's only a positive.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
yeah, I think
I
that's.
just don't want the 100,000 to CIP going and say, oh, we only need 400.
Right, and that they would
Sounds
reduce their allocation
great.
by.
Yeah, because
right,
it is, and then I'd say first and foremost, the user is the local,
Right.
and then
No, it's a
it's,
sensible motion.
okay.
Okay, so you're going to make.
Sorry,
you're gonna
I
make
wanted that to be part of, I think the rest of them are all fine and great,
Yeah.
like the amounts and everything. 'Cause River Edge Trail North makes a ton of sense. I mean, we got action happening there that people drive to, so I don't have any problem with that amount. It was just, I'd like to make a motion for all of those to fund full amount, except, well, with the exception of River Edge Trail South, up to 100,000, depending on what CIP does.
Okay, okay. Do I have a
So,
second?
I'll second that, and just with the clarification that River Edge Trail South section is that these dollars would be intended to fill the gap left by
Yeah.
CIP funding, but not take the place of it.
Okay,
Correct.
okay. So, as a motion has been made and seconded, any further discussion? And I'm just going to add that, yeah, definitely, one of the things when I see this trail development and the River Edge Trail south around the wastewater treatment plant, that area is, it's a hidden gem. There's a lot of stuff. It's a very, don't think about, if you think about what a modern wastewater treatment plant is, you might be quite surprised. When you walk down over there, it's really quite natural, and there's a lot of wildlife that hangs out along the trail edge. And I think that once this trail is developed, this is going to be, it's going to be spectacular. So-
Just real quick, I forgot to mention,
Yeah.
actually, as soon as this meeting is done, there'll be a tour of that trail happening. So you're all invited. It's been agendized as a possible quorum. So you're welcome to come over. You go to the end of Adrian Street, and there's parking available there at the wastewater site. And the bike ped committee is already there, and we're going to be walking the trail. So
So hopefully
You're all
we can get done here and we can
Sure.
Yeah.
see that trail.
I have to just say, so my daughter and her husband just went to Austin in the end of March. And I'm like, oh, well, what did you all do? And she's like, we went to the wastewater treatment plant there. And I'm like, why would you go on vacation and go to the wastewater treatment plant? And she said, oh, well, the local bird club was doing an expedition at the wastewater
Yeah.
treatment plant, and they let us join their tour. And so that was on her list of things that she did. So people actually do go to wastewater treatment
Now
plants.
now that the upgrades are done, it's very park-like down there.
And when we were in
It is, and
Italy,
the
we
facility
ended up
is
next to the
fenced.
wastewater
Yeah,
treatment
the
plant.
facility
Yeah,
itself
I
is
know.
fenced.
The facility is fenced, and it's not like, folks will be in a hurry to scramble to take a picnic down there, but if the trail ends at DC Everest Landing, that's totally different too,
Okay,
so.
all right, so we got a motion on the floor, a second, and discussion. So all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And that carries. All right, item 5, discussion and possible action regarding next grant application period and standard meeting times. We, at our last meeting, we talked about having our, the application process on a rolling schedule.
Yep.
And I think that traditionally, we usually have something like on the end of July. So do we want to,
Is it July or August?
well,
Well,
Doesn't the thing
the
say August?
application used to be due July 31st, and then we would have the meeting in August.
August.
But the minutes did say that we were going to try to put a meeting together in July, and so when I did have these people contact me concerned about this kind of impromptu meeting, I did tell them we would try to schedule something for July. You know, we could perhaps get feedback or have a, you know, like a component of, well, what do we do about, you know, look at the application one more time and see if we want to require all of the grants to be on a reimbursement, like we don't give any advances, you know, things like that. I don't know, I could find some agenda items if you wanted.
Fish.
Well, I think that's important to talk about too, because we do want to know, like, just with the discussion we had with the balloon rally, we want to know that our funds are being used for a certain type of expense and not just thrown in the bulk with all the other funds to be used for whatever. So I think there's certain events that, depending on, you know, the newness of the event and the number of unknowns and the marketing plan, there are times that you could release funding up front, knowing what that effort already looks like if it's well-defined. But I think we also want to make sure that we have the ability to condition those requests on a reimbursement basis if we need to, like we did tonight. So I think we need to be flexible, but we need to also have the ability to impose those restrictions where it's needed, so.
yeah, especially if now that we've lifted the cap, it's.
For sure.
It's more imperative that we have accurate
Information.
information on the financials, you know.
Well, and on the application side, you know, would it make sense, we want to take them on a rolling cycle, but, you know, just as a goal as a group, you know, maybe we would want to at least try to entertain those maybe quarterly. If there's no applications, we don't meet. But,
Yep.
you know, if we were to split it quarterly, which would give you January, April, July, and October, like a normal quarter system, I mean, that could certainly be our goal. And if there's applications in the pipeline for that quarter, we meet. If there aren't any, we don't. And if there's something that comes in between that where time is of the essence, we certainly could pull together a meeting if we had to. But, you know, maybe that's a more reasonable goal, is to at least, so the public's expectations are, you know, that we meet at least quarterly if there's
Yeah.
applications to consider.
Yeah, and I think there was a little bit of concern because this meeting came up kind of fast. So I was looking in the in the packet here where there was the title page for the grant application. It does say that the applications are due 4 PM on the fourth Friday in August. So that would imply that our next meeting should probably be in September
Yeah.
sometime.
Sure.
Yeah, so maybe we should, you know, I guess if we wanted to do, depending on when we want those quarters to be, we should retool the web information
Yeah.
and the application to mirror that, so. I think if we used a calendar quarter basis, it would make sense to most people.
Yeah, so finish out this year with September.
Yeah, and
And
then
then
maybe start with
start
January, then
2024.
next year we know where we're gonna go.
And then in the next meeting, we'll have, we'll set up for next year.
Right.
Defined quarters for the,
Yeah, yep.
okay.
Which that ironically runs with our fiscal year too,
Yeah.
so.
The council chambers are normally open the fourth Monday of the month if you wanted to keep this date and time.
Nice.
That is a
Okay.
good time, really. I mean, realistically, because most city things meet the second week of
Yeah,
the month.
yeah.
But this time is kind of lull, so,
Okay. So let's plan on a meeting in September
okay?
and.
For the
we'll-
fourth Monday?
For the fourth Monday.
fourth?
So that would be the 25th, September 25th.
September 25th, and that's,
So so Main Street had called today. They were going to submit an application for their art walk, which I don't remember.
Exhibitor?
Yeah, exhibitor, which
August.
is in August, yeah. So they were thinking that since we were going to meet again in July, that they would submit an application. And then Wausau Events contacted me and said, well, you know, now that we had removed the cap, they were going to submit for more funds for Blues Fest. They had submitted a request for $9,000, which was approved previously. So
And that happens in August, right? So, that
yes,
event?
that does happen in
So
August.
if we meet next month, we could pick up both of those applications, right?
Right, so that's why this July meeting
Was,
time.
so maybe the fourth Monday in July, then. We need to have a quick meeting.
Sure.
Okay,
It's July 24th.
Okay, okay. Well, then July 24th, I guess contingent on if those,
If there's
those-
applications.
If those entities are
Okay.
gonna apply.
Okay,
Sounds good?
thank you.
Okay. Anything else on, I guess, on that? Otherwise, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Right, motion by Rasmussen?
Do I have to second that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't actually have to, though,
You don't,
right?
well, you have to
Robert's
second
Rules
it,
of
but we don't
Order
have
say
to
you
vote
don't
on
have
it.
to. Yeah, you,
That's
once
right.
you have a motion,
Just
you're
declare
adjourned.
ourselves adjourned.
Yep.
Okay.
There.
So
Mission accomplished.
we stand adjourned. So,